Hey, and welcome to the VeryVera Show. Boy, have we got a lot planned tonight. Masters Week, I had the privilege of working with Tyler Florence, who was a celebrity chef for one of my biggest clients. And that week I said, you know, you need to come back to Augusta and do the VeryVera Show. And guess what? He's going to be with me tonight. We're doing some wonderful things, and he has cleared his schedule between running a bunch of different restaurants, a line of baby food. He's on his 7th cookbook. He's got his own television show. He's just a very busy guy, but he cleared his calendar to be with us tonight. So please tune in because we're making 2 of his favorite dishes, a braised beef short rib with a seared scallop that is absolutely delicious. And then, believe it or not, he actually has a cake recipe that's pretty good. It's a white coconut cake, and I'm going to put my spin on it. So join us, 2 great recipes, 2 great chefs, and a lot of fun. All right, I said it was going to get hot in the kitchen tonight, and it certainly is. I'm here with Christina Cannon, who is part of the VeryVera organization and is helping tonight get these short ribs braised because I promised you a special guest, and I think he's coming in right now. Tyler Florence, everybody. Hey, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. And we wanted to get you a little ahead of the game, so Christina has been getting these ready, and I know this is one of your favorite recipes and one that has 5 stars all over the Food Network website. So we're going to let you take over and get those going and tell us a little bit about this dish and why it's one of your favorites.
Well, this is actually a recipe that is at least 10 years old. It's one of the recipes that we shot, I think, early with Food 911. I think this is.
I think you're right.
This is literally like either 2000 or 2001. It's an interesting combination because it's meat and fish kind of all pulled together in one dish. So it's actually braised short ribs and scallops kind of matched up together, which is really kind of interesting. It's probably it's different for sure. Probably not for everybody, but what's really nice about that are some of the techniques and tips in this, which you can really apply to just about anything, from making a couple of really good sauces, I'm sure how to make. The braising technique works across the board, and that's you can make a pot roast, so it's the same idea. And then the seared scallops later we're going to make, which are really great. When pieces together, this is going to seem contemporary, right?
Right.
But the bits and pieces are actually really kind of lovely. So what we have here are some short ribs, right? And these are bone-on ribs, and you can either find them in the grocery store.
Well, you know, Fresh Market is where I went to pick these up, and they, you know, will cut them for you if they don't have them. But those look great. Which
is always really nice. So short rib is probably the best meat to braise because it has all this connective tissue throughout the entire cut. And it's basically just the cap just lives just on top of the rib itself. So when it starts to braise and fall apart, it's got like lots of connectivity, and it's going to make this really kind of unctuous, very soft, really kind of soft, yeah.
Well, while you're working on that and getting that going, I'm going to walk down here just a minute because, you know, you have a cake recipe. I got to give you a challenge on that.
Okay, yeah, the cake recipe is pretty good. This is straight coconut cake with
white chocolate, and I'm going to invite Felicia to join us. And Felicia Beal is part of the VeryVera team. She is our assistant bakery director.
Yes.
And we've got the ingredients here for your white coconut cake, and it's actually, I'll have to say, pretty good. So what she's done here is we've already gotten the sugar and the butter creaming. I'm going to add the eggs to that. And I know, Tyler, what you're working on has a lot of different components that kind of add to that as well. I think one of the things that I thought the most interesting about that dish was how that's the sauces and everything are almost going to get real syrupy and honey-like.
Yeah, it's going to actually kind of reduce down to a really nice place. So if you take a look at the top of this for a second, which is a really important thing to think about when you're braising meat. And again, we're talking about pot roast, right? A really kind of simple idea. It's called the Maillard reaction, and that's where the amino acids and the protein actually start to melt to form this beautiful crust on top of that, and that's what roasted meat tastes like. right? So we've got, if you're going to braise any kind of piece of meat, you definitely want to take a couple of minutes to think through this process, all right? So you're going to make it taste as good as possible. You never want to put a cold piece of meat in a cold pan and put liquid on top of it and just braise it, because it's not going to work.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you get started on that. We're going to keep going with this, and we're going to be back. And while we're gone, all of this is going to come together. It's already smelling really great in here. So come back with us after the break. We're going to be putting this all together. No, you haven't messed up. We're not on the Food Network. This is NBC 26, and I'm so happy to have Tyler Florence with me tonight, and he is preparing a very special dish.
Yeah, this is it's kind of like surf and turf. It's actually one of my favorite recipes, and I'm so happy you actually dug through all the recipes I have on Food Network and pulled this out, because actually it's a really good one. And I haven't done this in a long time, this particular recipe. So it's good to see it again. So we're gonna braise some short ribs, and then we're gonna sear some scallops. We're gonna serve them on the same dish together. So if you've had a surf and turf before, like filet mignon and lobster, you kind of get the idea how these are gonna piece together. It's really nice. So we've seared our short ribs, kind of catch it back up again, and then we're gonna put our braising liquid on top of this. And then it's carrot and onion, a little bit of fresh thyme, and then it's got a couple different interesting flavors going on. It's got a little caraway, a little bit of paprika. It's got honey.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's got honey, it's got red wine, and it's got beef broth, right? So there's a lot going on to this. You could simplify this whole recipe and just saute some vegetables and put some water in it, because we actually seared all the short rib in this, and it kind of makes its own little sauce. This is a very complex, very beautiful sauce. To save some time in the kitchen, if you just want to make something really nice on Sunday, you could just saute some vegetables and then actually add some box broth to that, and you're going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
And I had read about that you like to do egg noodles sometimes with this too, so that would be, throw some pasta in.
Egg noodles, you guys can see how beautiful this is. Egg noodles would be really nice on top of this. Of course, mashed potatoes would be really nice with this. Italian polenta would be really nice for that if you want to do something like that, really good. So this is it. So this is the braising dish, right? So we're going to put this into the oven, what they call low and slow, right? So it's going to go into 350, which is not incredibly low, but I think it's a really good temperature. And this is going to go in the oven for about 2 hours, right? So this is not something that you want to make, say, on a Thursday night when the kids have homework. This is a sort of a Sunday, cooking project when you got some time to play around with. All right, good. So it's going to go into the oven, and then we're going to get this next sauce together.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to get started on this wonderful cake batter. He describes things so beautifully, and this is the creamiest batter, Tyler, I tell you. It's just awesome. And the incorporation of ingredients in baking is very interesting too, because many times it'll tell you to alternate the liquid and the dry, and on your recipe it was all the liquid and then all the dry. So it's very fluffy, it's a very light cake.
I've never really understood the process of having to add a little bit of the liquid and a little bit of the dry when you're mixing the batters together. I mean, you see this all the time in class recipes, but does it do anything?
Well,
I don't know if it really does.
That's why I made an F in chemistry.
I don't know what it does.
It was awesome. Okay, what have you got going on with your with the sauce that's going on with?
Okay, so these are some really beautiful scallops. I'm just going to actually kind of get these on a paper towel because I'm going to dry them off first, right? And then because a wet scallop will not sear. A wet piece of chicken will not sear. A wet shrimp will not sear. So you definitely want to make sure they're nice and dry. So, and while we're doing that, this is probably one of the easiest sauces I've ever really made. There's going to be a little bit of heavy cream. All right, we're just going to put this into a saucepan. Chicken stock. And then we're going to add the zest of an orange. Just going to fold that in there as well. Really, really fragrant.
So nice.
And then also some saffron. Again, if it's definitely sort of a fancy thing. And if you don't want to add that, absolutely no big deal at all. But
it's kind of crazy looking at it.
Yeah, so saffron is the stamen of a crocus flower, right? And they either grow in Italy or in Spain, right? And also in Portugal. They kind of grow them all over the Mediterranean. But it has a really kind of beautiful flavor to it. So so the cake batter is going to go into the pan. We're going to dry these scallops off. This sauce is going to reduce in no time at all. Okay,
come back and join us because we got a lot to do in the next segment.
That's right, surf and turf.
Welcome back, everybody. And again, I'm with my friend Tyler Florence, who has come in all the way from San Francisco. He's really doing me a special favor today to join us for the VeryVera show. And the surf and turf, I am so hungry, and all the smells, it's fabulous.
It's really nice. So we got the short ribs in the oven. They're braising away. We're going to sear some scallops. I've got them sort of dried off on a paper towel right now. Again, nothing wet sears, right? So you have to have something really dry. It goes for chicken breast, pork chop, shrimp, anything. If you're going to put it into a pan, do yourself a favor and put it onto a paper towel and just absorb the excess liquid. That's going to give you a much better opportunity to get a golden crust on top of that. And also our sauce for our scallops themselves are starting to reduce down. That's cream, orange zest, a little bit of chicken stock, and it's got some saffron in it. It's a little fancy. You certainly don't need that, but it's really, really good. And I kind of want to talk about this cake for a second because, so the cake batter is really great. And this is so in the last bit we put the cake in the oven. This is what it looks like when it's finished.
Yeah.
And you cut the cake through the center. It's got really nice what they call cell structure. It's really tight, right? But it's also really kind of moist and soft at the same time. And to me, like when you got to serve a really moist cake, especially here in the South, right? A coconut cake. It's a religion, right? It's got to be really good, right?
It is.
So it has to be soaked with something like a simple syrup to help kind of keep the moisture really kind of high. So this is this is how you put together simple syrups. It's going to be water, sugar, and then I like a little bit of rum in mine. Again, you can leave it out if you want to.
I like the rum with the coconut.
It's a really, really nice flavor. Both tropical notes, they make sense together. You put the lime in the coconut and they drink it all up. Kind of thing, right? I think it's really
and
delicious.
We can sing that right.
Exactly right. So water, sugar, a little bit of just clear white rum, and then
a splash of coconut extract.
Splash of coconut extract to really kind of nail that flavor and really kind of make it taste great. You want to reduce this by half until it looks viscous, right? And then let that kind of cool down. Put that into a little bowl, and then with a pastry brush, you just want to kind of just paint the layers themselves, so it really starts to soak up that beautiful flavor.
Well, I'm going to get started on
that. So that's
that.
the base, right?
Okay.
Great.
All right, so I've got the layer cut, and essentially just a long serrated knife, and you just really take it and go straight across the cake.
Yep.
And that's what we've done. And then I prepared the simple syrup
I've
earlier.
seen people do that with dental floss.
Really?
It actually works out. I don't know if the mint dental floss works out really well. I'm going to try it with plain.
That could be for a peppermint cake.
Oh yeah, but if you have a real thin string, some yarn, just real tiny string, just kind of something to kind of saw the cake. 'Cause the cake's really soft, but you just need something that you can kind of get a nice even layer with, which is great.
Well, and this simple syrup also is going to make that icing just really start soaking through when this is iced, and I think there's nothing more delicious than the 4 layers with all the scrumptious icing in between.
And when the cake is actually moist with the simple syrup on top of that, it's going to keep the crumb down too. It's going to, because at this point it's a little denser than it was 2 seconds ago. So when they start to put the frosting in between the layer, it's not going to pull the crumb of the cake up with it, right? So it's actually nice and kind of flat at this point, which is great.
Okay, so you're ready to start searing
scallops?
Yeah,
absolutely. So we've actually got some short ribs that we braised earlier, which I'm going to show you for a second, and you're going to keep doing that, which is going to be kind of cool. I've got the sauce working down. So this is how you sear something, right? So you want to make sure you got a couple things ready to rock and roll. And again, this is the same technique, right? You may not be into scallops necessarily, but if you like a good seared piece of chicken or a good seared pork chop, it's all the same sort of idea. So we got a pan, right? You got room temperature. I like extra virgin olive oil. I think it's really kind of nice. And then you want sort of a slight sear, slight smoke on top of this, okay?
It's kind of dancing in the pan.
Exactly right. So we're going to take a little bit of salt. You never want to put pepper on anything that you're going to sear at this point, because pepper will burn. We can always finish with pepper a little bit later, but definitely some salt first, right? And we got our nice dry scallops. And again, you want to be a little careful when you're doing this because the oil is kind of hot. All right, so you just want to drop them in. All right. And then scallops themselves, they actually contain quite a bit of sugar. So we're going to get a beautiful caramelization on top of these, and they'll look gorgeous. So this is the last little bit. I mean, this is kind of like one of those fun dishes.
Where that's the last thing you do.
Yeah, exactly. If you got some friends coming over and you really want to impress somebody, or you love scallops at a restaurant but you've never been able to make them at home, it's just like it's just like making a grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up. Yeah. We're going to come back, and we're going to have this plated. You're going to want to be standing here with us because we're going to be eating it. It's going to be delicious.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that scallops.
Oh, that's
gorgeous?
awesome. So come back.
Scallops are beautiful. Look at that.
Going to someone's home for dinner is one of my favorite things. I always look to see when the host puts their napkin in the lap, because that's how you know it's time to begin. You also want to be observant of when they pick up their fork. That'll give you the cue that it's time to begin. I like to start with the entree. That way I can give a compliment to the host right away. They can generally tell by the look on your face whether or not you've enjoyed it, but be sure to say, gosh, that is so delicious. People love to hear that their food is being complimented. Remember, don't use the salt and pepper until you've tasted something first. Be sure to pay attention to the whole evening so you know whether you're eating too fast or too slow. Just enjoy yourself and be sure to thank your hostess. I tell you, it's been quite an experience here, and it is smelling wonderful.
Okay, so these are the short ribs that we braised, right? And I left 2 whole so you can see kind of what they look like when they're really starting to fall apart. They're really, really soft. Aren't they gorgeous? Almost like barbecue, right? So I took the rest that we had and I kind of shredded up into some large pieces, but then I put, a lot of the vegetable product we put back in right at the very beginning on top of it as well, so you can really kind of see it.
See the carrots and everything.
Absolutely. So check this out. I'm going to start kind of plating some of these up, right? So we've got this. It's almost like a marmalade, right? Braised short rib. And it's got really beautiful color to it. It's dark brown. It's got great flavor to it. And again, it's got a little bit of red wine. It's got some honey. Got a little caraway, which is kind of nice.
And those were really lean too. I mean, there's not a lot of fat in there.
I think that's why they're so good, because fat is flavor, and also the connective tissue that's inside really starts to break down to make an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous braised meat. It's just unctuous and beautiful. So we got that. Now this is where it gets really kind of interesting. Again, this is going to seem kind of contemporary, like the fact that you put scallops and braised meat like this together, but the combination is just gorgeous. If you ever had a filet mignon and a lobster tail, you're totally going to get how this stuff works together, right? So 3 nice big fat scallops on top of that. Look at the caramelization, isn't that beautiful?
Oh, that is so great. Now this pan was really, really hot when you put those scallops in there. And you had the olive oil dancing.
Yep.
And then that's what seared that really quickly on the top.
Yep, and also make sure they're nice and dry.
Nice and
you
dry.
You get really good scallops when they're nice and dry. And again, this is sort of our orange sauce. I'm going to spoon over top of everything. And again, this is orange and cream chicken stock, a little bit of saffron. And the saffron seems too fancy, you can totally leave it out.
Gosh.
Isn't that great? So this is...
and how could you not love protein looking at this plate?
Right? Really, really nice. It's got tons of flavor to it. And also really nice flavors for this time of year, too, which is really great. So check it out. So you definitely want something green on top of this. This is watercress, because I think that's sort of like a nice kind of mustard bite. Kind of fit in really well with this, but parsley would work out really well. And again, something that's kind of clean and fresh, and whatever you really, really like. Definitely something.
Oh, that is so beautiful. As you're kind of putting the final touches on there, I want you to take a gander at this cake. Unbelievable. And I cannot begin to tell you how much this thing weighs. So it is unreal.
It's a monster.
So it is a monster. Yeah. And the icing, the buttercream icing that we put with this was really, really nice. So I'm going to get a slice of that, but the most important thing is I want to make sure that we get to taste everything before we go off air. So let me get a little bit of that cake out for you, and a little bit for me, and that's ready to go.
That's a pretty plate food.
Pretty plate.
That's a pretty plate food. Yeah, there you go.
The next one will come out
nice big
just
piece of
perfect.
Cake. There you go. Beautiful. Look at that. Nice big cake. So this works out really well. The moisture is really great. The flavors are really good. This will be that cake that you'll make for years to come that everyone will absolutely love.
All right. Well, Tyler, as we enjoyed this, I want to thank you again for making this trip.
You're welcome.
I wish the rest of you could be here.
This is the best thing I've had all day because I've been flying all day.
Oh, man.
I literally just got off the airplane and came.
As you can see, a simple recipe with some things that make it really wonderful. Two minds come together, the cake mind and the the wonderful recipes, the San Francisco Southern flair to this.
Love it.
Unbelievable. So as we continue to enjoy this, I hope that you will check this recipe out at NBC26.com. We've shared that with everybody. We've got to do this again, I hope before too long. I hope that you will join me again next week because we're going to be talking about winter comfort food. But in the meantime...
Who's coming next week, Giada?
Well, maybe. Maybe. So no matter what you do, always do it in good taste. Thank you again, Tyler. You guys need to follow him at Tyler Florence on Twitter. And he's got a brand new cookbook coming out. So if you think this is good, wait until you see what's in the brand new cookbook fresh.
Yeah, so, which is on Amazon.com. You can pick up there.
So come back and join us again. Lots of things going on. Wonderful dishes, great recipes. You can find them all on our website at NBC26. Thank you, Tyler.
You're welcome. Bye.